Hey, this is Michael with XForcePC. I want to talk to you about our quad screen system. So we've been doing triple display systems for quite some time, and what that's really great for is to give you a wider field of view, so you can actually kind of pick the airport up, when it's over here, as opposed to waiting for it to be almost directly in front of you. So what we do is we spread the scenery across 3 screens, but what that kind of leaves out is the instrument panel. When you spread things out wide, you kind of compress them vertically a little bit, and really we only get a small portion of the instrument panel here. And in some cases, it's even worse. Let's try the 172. There it is. Let's see what it looks like. And this Cessna 172, yeah, you can see you're only getting the top row of instruments here. And so when you spread things out nice and wide, unfortunately you lose a lot of your visibility of the instruments. So I'm going to switch back to the Baron where I was. So to compensate for that, what we've done is we added a 4th monitor, because when you have 3 for your external view, it actually makes the 4th monitor that much more important, so you can see your instruments. So what we do is we just tell X-Plane just to show us the forwards view with scenery only, and we start up a program called Sim Plugins. And there we go. Well, now we have our instruments down here and we have our scenery up here, and not only do we have some of our instruments, we have all of our instruments. And so this is just a basic panel I put together. Now Sim Plugins lets you fully customize these panels. It's a drag and drop scenario. So you find the instrument you want in the repository of instruments, you drag it and you drop it where you want it on the instrument panel. And then all of these knobs can turn with touch. So I don't know if you can see those numbers changing. The active standby button works. Now if you want to modify this, you just right click on the instrument and unlock it. So I'm going to unlock the artificial horizon. And look, now I can move it around the screen. I can even make it bigger and smaller using my scroll wheel on my mouse. And I can also move it around with the mouse. And then when I've got it where I want it, and we'll put it back how I had it, in the right size, I right click on it and choose lock. And now if I try to move it, it won't move. So, and that's true with all of these instruments. You can make them bigger or smaller, you can move them around the screen and put them wherever you want. And again, there's a very large repository of instruments to pick from. This is a small subset. I've got all our common nav radios over here, and I have an autopilot panel down here, and of course our basic steam gauges. Now, when you're picking or buying the system, you have a choice between the steam gauges or the glass cockpit gauges or EFIS gauges. So I'm going to load a panel that is, this is a panel that is an example of like a glass cockpit. And so again, this panel is fully touch enabled. You can use all the buttons on here. As you see, I'm zooming in and zooming out, and everything's fully customizable, and you can drag and you can move these instruments around how you want. This was a customer's airplane, and I kind of custom did this just for them, and so this is one that's been specially made. You can also, where you see the red and the green here, you can also on these instruments customize that by right clicking on the instruments and going to settings. And then you can tell it the range of, this is oil pressure, of where the red and the green should be for your particular airplane, or you can leave it set the way that it is by default. And so let's go put ourselves up in the air real quick, see how our instruments respond. Now, I told you have to pick between the steam gauges or the glass cockpit. If you pay an extra $35, then you get the license for both. I'm just going to have the airplane fly itself. So I haven't set this yoke up yet. And you can see our instruments responding. Again, for an extra $35 though, you can have both analog and EFIS gauges, and that allows you, you notice I switch back and forth between panels. You know, I can, and you can make a different panel for every single plane that you have. So I can switch back to the analog gauges if I want and go that route. Or you can have some sort of hybrid. You know, a lot of planes will have, you know, the LCD screens, glass cockpit, but then they'll also augment that with some of these analog gauges. Now what comes with the system is everything you see here. You've got three 27-inch 1080p monitors. You have a triple monitor stand, and then we have the 19.5-inch touchscreen, which we like because it sits right down on the table. If you use too big of a monitor here, that's that much higher, you've got to put these monitors up here. You don't want them way, way up high. So you need this monitor down nice and low, so that's why we picked it. And again, as I mentioned, it's a touch screen, so you can turn the knobs with your finger. Touchscreen not required, but it is a nice to have. We have our Flight Sim yoke here from CH Products, and then we have some CH Pro pedals to go with that. If you're wondering where the Cytec stuff is, we've always offered both Cytec and CH, but the Cytec stuff is not an option right now. They've had some major problems over in China with their factory, and something about the government. I don't know all the details, but they're way out of stock. It may be months before there's more Cytec stuff. So if you're wondering what happened to Cytec, that's kind of the deal with that. But luckily we have still have CH on board, and they make a very fine product. This clamps to the desk with some tensioning clamps, and then it stays put pretty good. It does not move around at all. It's got some nice kind of sticky rubber feet that when you compress that clamp, it really holds it in place. And we have a wireless keyboard and mouse. And then last but not least, we have a nice gaming computer that comes with this. And so this is a computer that's specially designed for this. It's very close to what our titanium system is. Very, very close. So it's a high-end gaming system, and that allows it to drive these three monitors up here. Currently we're getting 50 frames per second, and allows us to also drive the touch screen display down here where you can have your instruments. Now if you have any questions, please email me, michael@xforcepc.com, and again that is michael@xforcepc.com.